Diabetes, simply put, is a chronic disease which affects how the body processes sugar.
Yeah.
Now, sugar is one of the most vital things for the body because that's our major source of energy. And typically, this sugar is regulated in the body by insulin. So
Yeah.
there's a hormone called insulin, which is secreted by the pancreas. And then
Mhm.
that helps sugar to move from the bloodstream into the cells where they are needed. However, with diabetes, there's an inadequacy of insulin. So it's
Okay.
either used or it's produced in the normal number, but then it's
Mhm.
no longer effective as it's supposed to be.
Last week we spoke about we looked at hypertension, and it was a very detailed discussion we had. We looked at the common misconceptions about high blood pressure and the truth behind them. We looked at the risk factors that cause surrounding hypertension and ways we can ameliorate them, like ways we can what's the word? Ways we can mitigate them and be able to live a healthier life. That you've been diagnosed with hypertension, which is a high blood pressure, doesn't mean that it's a death sentence. There are things you can do to help to regulate it and to also keep the blood pressure, stable. So I don't want to waste too much time because I want to dive into today's topic as quickly as possible. So while I try to bring on dietitian Grace, I think Dr. David will just proceed with you so that we don't keep our viewers who are here for today's topic, waiting for long. I can imagine sitting in front of two people talking and you're not getting you're not getting what you came for. All right. So today we're going to be looking at diabetes. Our topic is going to be on diabetes and what we need to know about diabetes, a conversation on its prevention, management, and everything in between. So, Dr. David, today we're going to give you the floor to tell us everything that we need to know about diabetes based on your experience and based on, I notice things almost every year, almost every time, things are being improved in the medical industry, medical field that we don't know about. The medication people took before to stabilize diabetes may not be what they use now. So please inform us, give us the insight on this condition called diabetes. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So, diabetes, simply put, is a chronic disease which affects how the body processes sugar.
Yeah.
Now, sugar is one of the most vital things for the body because that's our major source of energy. And typically, this sugar is regulated in the body by insulin. So
Yeah.
there's a hormone called insulin, which is secreted by the pancreas. And then
Mhm.
that helps sugar to move from the bloodstream into the cells where they are needed. However, with diabetes, there's an adequacy of insulin. So it's
Okay.
either used or it's produced in the normal number, but then it's
Mhm.
no longer effective as it's supposed to be. And then, well, for types of diabetes, we have three major types. Actually, two, but for the sake of debate, let's say there are three types of diabetes. So there's
Okay.
one diabetes, which was formerly called insulin-dependent
Yeah.
diabetes,
Mhm.
and then two diabetes, which was also formerly called non-insulin dependent diabetes. Then the
Okay.
third is gestational or pregnancy-induced diabetes. So this is
Diabetes. Sorry, Grace, welcome. Let's acknowledge her presence. All right then. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Dr. David. Please carry on.
right. So that's a type of diabetes that comes about by the pregnant state. So it only
Yeah.
affects certain people during pregnancy, and it's not necessarily true diabetes because in cases after pregnancy, most women go back to having good control. A few percentage might be full-blown diabetics afterward. The last of them after they deliver the baby.
Yeah.
Now, it's a common diabetes has started to become more increasing, and the demographic of death is now um, young generations. Back in the days, the thing of the an illness of who had money. It's disease that affected people who were in urban areas, but that's not. We've started to see diabetes in young generation, people in their teenage years, in their early 20s, and so on.
Yeah.
And that this is because our lifestyle greatly. So in those days, people would eat mostly high fiber. They would walk distance. Young children, young children who are going to school as well. But then now everybody drives. Most people live sedentary lifestyle at the office. Most meals are had with a bottle of soda, something. We put sugar into everything. We put sugar into cooked food. We put sugar into soda. We put sugar into cereal, and we're not as active as we used to be. So,
Yeah.
majorly, our lifestyle and our diet is partly what has impacted the prevalence of diabetes now, even more in the younger generation. And then, diabetes is also something that can go unnoticed and undetected for a long time until irreversible damages have started to occur. So, but there are some signs and symptoms that you might start to experience, which should trigger a need for a test. And the only way to know if somebody is diabetic is by doing a blood test, not by
Yes.
holding onto any machine or, you know, you have to do a blood test. Your blood sugar
Yes.
level has to be checked. That's the only way to know if somebody is diabetic. And you need to do more than one test. So if you do one test and you have a high blood sugar level, you have to go back and repeat it. So you need more than one reading. It's a consistent rise of blood sugar that is diabetes, not a single rise of blood sugar. So some of the symptoms that some people would have, which should prompt looking for investigations and going to see a doctor, excessive hunger. So you start to notice that you're getting hungry more easily. Even after eating, you don't feel satisfied, or you're feeling very thirsty more. You drink lots of water. You find yourself waking up in the night to drink water. You find yourself waking up at night to pee. The frequency of you peeing has increased significantly. It's an indication that you might need to check your sugar level. If you also start to notice a rapid weight loss or weight gain, it's also an indication that you might need to check your sugar level as well, because it might just be that your sugar level has started to rise.
Yes.
That's how, the body is responding. This might be a late symptom, but then some people start to have numbness and tingling sensation in their hands or in their feet. So if you're experiencing that as well, it's something that should, make you go get checked.
Yeah.
Like sugar. Now, at what sugar level do we say somebody is diabetic? So, for a fasting sugar, which is the more accurate test to do, that's after you've not eaten from 8 p.m. in the night, and the test is done before 11 a.m. the next day in the morning. You can have a sip of water or two, that's fine, but no food after 8 p.m. Now, if fasting is higher than 130 or 7 millimoles, on two occasions, we would say somebody is diabetic, or a random of higher than 200 on more than one occasion. That would be an indication that somebody is diabetic. And then the final confirmatory test is a glycated hemoglobin test or a HbA1c. What that checks for is the amount of sugar that is attached to the hemoglobin. So that checks particularly for the sugar that's attached to the blood cells, and that gives us an approximate value of what the sugar control is like for 3 months. So a HbA1c of higher than 6.5 is an indication that somebody is diabetic. So those are some of the ways that would use to confirm and to see if somebody has an impaired sugar control or if they're already now diabetic. However, being diabetic is not a death sentence.
Yeah.
It can be managed. It
Yeah.
can be managed very easily. And once you get the management right, you can live an uneventful life. Oh, right. Another very common symptom that some people might have is frequent infection. So,
Sorry, frequent what?
frequent infection.
Infection. Okay.
Frequent infection. So, especially ladies, if you keep
Yeah.
on having recurrent yeast infection, that might just
Yeah.
be a sign that your sugar level is high. Yeah. So,
Okay.
as regarding prevention and treatment for people who have diabetes, it's
Mm.
about making a switch. It's about trying to live like the people of the old days used to. They had all the meals that we have now, the
Yeah.
eba, the pounded yam, the rice. They had all of those, but they were so very active. And they barely had any refined sugar. No chocolates, there was no soda, in sugar into tea, no
You're talking
sugar.
about, yeah, you're referring to our ancestors, right? Our grandparents.
Yes, yes,
All right.
our grandparents
Yeah.
now have to borrow from a pay. They were very active. They were
Yeah, they were. They still are.
they walked. So for places that you can easily walk, instead of taking your car, instead of entering method of transportation, just take a walk. If the office and you long hours, you're not going to be able to do that. When you get back home, you can get on the tread and walk on the tread. You can walk around your estates. Get at 30 minutes of walking every day.
Yeah.
Now that's one of the factors that we can control, and that can, whole wealth of difference in preventing somebody from becoming diabetic, and then already died. It plays a whole difference to making sure that. Then the next thing is the diet. So most importantly, remove as much simple sugar from your diet as possible. So things like candies, chocolate, cookies, white bread, alcohol, soda, malt, things that have lots of simple sugar, as much as possible, cut them out. And then if you're not able to cut them completely, do them with a lot of moderation and then be more active. Now, there's another part that most people would feel like they can't do anything about, which is the genetic aspect. So, your father and your mother are both diabetic. It almost feels like you can't escape it. Well, that's not always the case. So yes, the risk factor for somebody who has both parents as diabetics is higher.
Yeah.
However, it just means that you have to also work harder with your lifestyle control. So if you're able to have a tightened grip on your lifestyle, you're very active, you're conscious about your diet, um, you do all the right things that you're supposed to, you can actually go from the diabetes. It might not come to you. And then, if in the event that you do get it, maybe a very a diabetes is if you do get it in your elderly age, it would not be as bad as it would have been if you are not doing those things already. So yes, diabetes is very common, but diabetes can be managed. And then not everybody would require the same management. Not everybody would require the same medications. Not everybody would require insulin. So people who are type 1 diabetic, those ones, it's they're actually quite rare. Maybe just
Yeah.
about percent of the entire population of people who have diabetes are type 1, because that is typically only diagnosed at birth. And in most cases, it's something that is not found, and by the time when it's found, it might be too late. But those
Mm.
who find out early enough and get appropriate treatment, which is an insulin injection, they tend to do fine, but they would require insulin for a very long time, almost for life in most cases. Now, for those who are not every type 2 diabetic require insulin, but some might, especially if they're not able to achieve good control of the blood sugar with oral
Mm.
medications. So some people might be on 2, 3 oral medications already, and yet their blood sugar is still very. They've tried dieting as much as they can, but the sugar is still persistently high. They might at that point, but it doesn't mean everybody would. And about diabetes is that it is probably one of the worst illness to have and not managed properly, because it
Mm.
affects every part of the body. It affects every part of the body. Poorly controlled diabetes can cause stroke, it can cause blindness, it can affect the heart, can affect the kidneys, can affect the
Wow.
bones, can affect the nerves. It can cause injuries that do not heal. It's one of
Yeah.
the leading causes of foot amputation,
Yeah.
and can also cause death, because very high blood sugar to loss of consciousness, and that can lead to it's something that is very common, and it's getting common as the because our lifestyle has changed. However, with right lifestyle change, right diet, which I'm sure dietitian Grace will be able to, you know,
More insights more on that.
whole, a whole insight. But with the right diet and the right lifestyle, it's something that can be prevented, and for those who have it already, can be managed and properly.
Thank you very much, Dr. David. That's very insightful. Before I bring on the dietitian Grace to educate us more about the diet that accompanies that condition, I can relate a lot to what you're saying. I have an auntie, or I had an auntie who's late now, that had diabetes. I think she's the only one in the family actually that had that condition, because I know her favorite food was rice. My auntie can die for rice. She can eat rice morning, cold dinner, and evening. I'm not sure that may have had anything to do with it, but I don't know it was more of a lifestyle. And maybe the cause may have been because even my grandparents on that side, none of them ever had this condition. So she's the only one, and even till date, my younger one, no one has it. So she's the only one that had it and died. And when she was diagnosed with it, she began to take her diet seriously. But then over time, I don't know if it was because of financial constraints, she now went on this. I don't want to call the name of the company just for the sake that I couldn't do that. But there was a particular. It's common in Nigeria. It's like a this healthy food sort of companies that they try to educate you to they have their own honey, they have their own aloe vera, they have their own supplements. There are companies that come with these kinds of packages, and then they sell, and people say, "Oh, when I was dealing with this condition, and I went on this health journey using their product, I felt better." You know, and she found this, and it helped her, but she not over relied on it, and like it became like her new diet, her new lifestyle, like the prescriptions on it. So I'm not sure she was actually doing it with medication. I think at a point in time, they look at marketing when healthy food companies come and market perhaps sometimes they will tell you, oh, go on this, do this, you are manage your health, you may not need to take medication. You take this testimony, this person did it, the testimony was this. So my auntie completely, I think she cut off the medication and following the prescriptions of both, because she began to feel well. Now, that was when the condition, she now started having problems with her eyes. Her eyes were blinded, talking about. With time, she lost considerable health. And there were so many other things that I didn't even know the complication. Almost every part of her body, there was a problem. Now, at the time, and she was working at Anywell. That's the start of, I don't know what where she was. So I think towards the end of her life, anyway, I just got to discover that I think she just really trusted this real sleeping. I just neglected the medication and I don't know if she was able to come out of it, but she was hospitalized before we knew it. We were told that auntie had passed. And it was a very painful death because the treatment she had to go through, some of her organs had stopped. I think it was kidney, liver. So she was going to certain treatments that were so harsh that she just said, what, let me die than to go through this pain. You understand? And this is an auntie that was a very happy person. So her death hurt me. And it made me realize that no matter how much as a health food company you are, don't make people not be realistic. And you just say, okay, they can just eat healthy and forget about it. There's a place for medical science. There's a place for education. So I just felt to reiterate or say that story because it resonates with one of what you said. And to tell that I've experienced it like personally because I had a family member that had this condition. And if it was well managed, when she was getting the medication and healthy living she started, she was fine. But suddenly she just degenerated and was like, oh, then she was just preaching to everybody. You don't have to take, if you take this thing, they said if you do, they take this supplements and all that. So I just thought to emphasize that no matter what a health food company tells you, you need to balance it. You need a doctor to guide you, you need a dietitian. I need to follow you through, and I just hope somehow that over time, the medical industry or the government can provide can provide sort of what's it called assistance when it comes because I know some of the diabetes the drugs can be very expensive. So that may be something that may encourage someone to try to follow another path that may not be realistic. Yeah, so just thought to share that story. Okay, Dr. Grace, please can you give us some insight more into the kind of diet that should accompany this condition called diabetes? What should we do to manage it? Because it's like the doctor said, it's not a death sentence. Yeah, so the floor is yours, please.
Yeah. Good evening, Miss Jane. Happy birthday, Dr. Dave. Right?
Thank you.
Okay. So, diabetes is one topic that is dear to me. I like diabetes. They are already scared of a lot of things. You hear, oh, this is the one I'm eating this and it's not being controlled. I want to state this clear that there is no particular food meant for diabetes, right? So one of the food claims out there, because like David said, it's very common, like it's very common. Now, one of the claims you get out there regarding your food is diabetic this, diabetic that. I know a lot of people may have seen that label, or most you see some rice, they say diabetic rice, you see
Yeah.
all of these. So there is no particular food that is actually meant for diabetes. And another thing I want to state clearly is that you could actually be doing everything you feel is right for you while managing diabetes. The frequent blood sugar monitoring, the frequent visits to your doctor, follow-ups, your numbers are not staying, the healthy under control. Then you may need to look at another aspect, not just the food and the lifestyle now. You may need to look at your stress because stress is something that really impacts your sugar levels. Stress is something that really impacts your numbers. Like if you're not able to control that cortisol level to be normal, you could be doing everything right and still realize that, okay, the money that you need to watch out for your sleep. How well do you sleep? Right? So if you're not able to sleep properly, you may need to check out with your doctor if insomnia, if it needs to be managed, because all of this actually plays a role in managing your sugar level, in giving you a good number, right? So because why I'm saying this is a lot of people come with that challenge. I've done this, I've done that, and they are not still, the numbers are not still okay. And another thing that is common when I manage diabetes is you hear people say about concussions, which is what I feel your aunt was things, right? So all of those concussions, as at today, I don't know, Dr. David can affirm, as at today, we don't have a cure for diabetes yet. Okay. What we do is
Thank you for that.
preventive and management. And to be honest, people have lived 30 years with diabetes and they are very fine, right? So if you are hearing, take this, it's your diabetes will go, take this, you need to really look into that properly. What are you taking? What is it made of? Okay. What's the dosage? All of those concussions, they will tell you it's a combination of vegetables, this. I get that. Your organs. So it's not really advisable. If no professional is walking you through anything, please and please just ensure you are living a healthy lifestyle and seeing your doctor as often as you can, because these two are very important. The aspect of the food, like I initially mentioned, there's no particular food that is for diabetes. Now, I like to have, in managing diabetes, I have my own pillars, and I know that's even common. The healthy living, okay, your frequent monitoring of your blood sugar, your physical activity, which Dr. David has mentioned also. These are things you really need to look at. Now, the healthy living, avoiding alcohol, trying your sugar, many means possible. Some people may be addicted to sodas and it's not so easy to let it go. You can gradually start, really, because you need to let it go, right? You gradually start and find a way. If it's something you take every day, find a way to maybe do it once or twice in a week and gradually let that go. Those simple sugars are really unnecessary and they will be causing more harm. And your plate for you at every meal look like half of your plate should be vegetable, the other half divided into 2 quarters, 1/4 protein, 1/4 carbohydrate. So are you going to run away from carbohydrate because you know that's where you get your glucose from? No, the brain still needs it daily to function. There is this trend online. You see people, they will serve their food. It's just protein, this, not any vegetable. And you're wondering, how are they actually doing? How are they coping? People is insulin resistance could come from PCOS. Now, that's not the best thing. If you portion your food in this way that I just described it, you notice that your carbohydrate is just 1/4 of your plate. It's a little, right? So now the next thing you need to look into is the type of carbohydrates that make up your plate. The simple and the complex. No, ideally, this simple carbohydrate, let's call it the regular white rice, is a simple type. Then we have our local rice that is ofada or brown rice, like those ones from Benue State, those farms, local rice, right? So now, if you can limit your intake to the regular white rice and do more of brown rice or fada rice, you're safer because that's the complex type of carb. Now, what makes a complex type of carb is a carbohydrate that still have the endosperm, the germ, and the bran. But the simple carbohydrate has been refined flexibly that you have majorly the endosperm, which is the energy-giving part.
Okay.
More fiber. Okay. An example again. Sorry, my network is switched. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. An example again is your bread. That's one of the challenges we have in Nigeria. I see bread because I love bread, but it's just quite difficult, the complex to get a good bread. Dr. David has said it, white bread you can limit, honestly, if you can, but it's quite difficult. So we need to be realistic with our plate, because in Nigeria, you will hardly get a whole brown bread, a whole meal bread. You will hardly get, except you are making at home. You can confidently say this is whole meal, this is that. But out there, what is common is white bread. So does that mean you should completely avoid your bread? No, you may not be able to completely avoid. So what you need to do is make sure that, you see, snacking on bread. Bread is not a snack. And you're eating bread as snack. It is not a snack. Then at every point you're eating your bread, you ensure that you have a source of protein, you have a source of fiber, which is maybe majorly from your vegetables, and you have a source of a healthy fat. So I give an idea example. Your bread should have something like avocado is in season. That's a sort of a healthy fat. You should have something like maybe veggies, carrots, cabbage. You know the way we do sandwich, just that form. And have your protein. So your protein can be your fish, it can be your scrambled eggs, it can be any protein of your choice. Now, in that way, see what happens when you eat in this pattern. You are able to, you're going to have 5 slices, 6 slices, and you're not even satisfied. But with this combination now, your healthy fat, your protein, and your vegetable, my dear, 2 slices of bread, you just notice that you're full. You wouldn't need more. Yeah, because one of the things I've realized with diabetes management is we actually don't have a problem. What we have majorly is portion problem. That's the problem we have majorly, right? So you're not going to be avoiding your swallow. Oh, the trend of don't eat eba, don't eat fufu. They have high calorie, they have high carbohydrates. These are people are now going for vegetable swallows like cauliflower swallow, beetroot swallows, blah blah blah. Those are not cultural food. Have your cultural food. I'm not saying you can't do all of those. Of course, once in a while, if you want, fine. But have your swallow, have your fufu, enjoy it with better vegetable soup, okra soup. Those are still because of vegetables, right? Yes. So enjoy it. But what you need to look out for is now the portion of that swallow, right? If it, what I usually tell my clients is let your soup be more than your swallow, if possible. A fit, your own hand, though, it should be the size of just like I described on the plate. So it should be more. If you eat in that pattern with protein at every meal, you will be really satisfied. Now, talking about the proteins are quite filling. That's why they should eat your food at every meal as if you're managing diabetes. Not just if you're managing diabetes, if you want to eat healthy, actually, you eat your food, right? Now, in diabetes management, why protein should be at every meal is that it is filling. You can actually try it one night, decide that you're going to have just grilled fish and maybe salad. You'll be satisfied. You'll notice that it's not the carbohydrate that is really filling you. Why you feel like the carbohydrate is what is filling you is because the ideal method we have here is that's why I feel like you have to have a lot of protein carbs before you are satisfied. That's not the way. But if you portion it, ensure that there is protein in your food, there is vegetable, and then there is carb, you'll be satisfied. And healthy fats too. Healthy fats from your even your fish, the regular Titus is everywhere. Your turkey, your chicken, your avocado. We have a lot of them. Your oil at the end of the day, what you want to achieve is that you are filled, you are satisfied. So you don't need a bulky meal to be satisfied. You just need a meal that is nutrients rich, that is nutrient dense for you to be satisfied. So that way you are cutting down on frequent intake of carbohydrate. And another thing you need to watch for when managing the diabetes with your food is your meal timing. Timing is quite important in diabetes management. Okay, you don't wake up at 10 p.m. and you carry a bowl of eba because dietitian said you can eat eba and you feel I'm fine. I'm having my eba with okra soup, so it's safe. No. You we are not really active like our forefathers. And our food with them still the same food that we have, right? So, but we are not as active as those people. By that time, you will not be able to expend any energy. So why are you munching? Why having so much eba? If you can do it in the afternoon, fine. But say that evening, just try to limit because ideally each eating at 7 p.m. You fasted. It's not the regular on-mat diet or intermittent fasting people are doing now. Everybody is fasting. If you check it very well, if you're stopping your meal at 7 p.m. and you don't eat till the next day, you are fasting. So, but what you eat by that 7 p.m. will have an influence on your sugar overnight and will have an influence on your sugar by morning, which is your breakfast. Now, for managing type 1 diabetes, there could be low sugar by night. That's midnight, 1 a.m. That's why we have carbohydrate to insulin counting. Those ones are specialized. You know that, okay, this is what you're going to because you are on insulin. They could be low. But if it's like 2 p.m., you want to ensure that the next morning. So why should you attempt it? So you need to monitor that food really. So Exercise. Talk about healthy exercise, really.
Yeah.
Need exercise. And it does not need to be a gym membership. A lot of us register gym early in the year and we're not going again. We are tired, really. So
Yeah.
it can be taking a walk. Just ensure
Yeah.
if you can get 150 minutes of exercise every week, spread it
Yeah.
maybe 30 minutes per day, 4 to 5 times a week. You are able
Yeah.
to stay at it. Could be walk. You see, the evening walk after your dinner is so therapeutic. That's 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
It is.
It helps a lot. So don't neglect the exercise of walking and waiting till when you are able to go to the gym.
Yes.
Get it for you. Over time, improve because we sit a lot, we drive to work, we are doing a lot of remote work these days. So all of those play a role in how your numbers turn
Yeah.
out. Okay. So I think I've said a lot already.
You have.
So diabetes is not a death sentence. It's not a death sentence. It can be really managed properly. Ensure you are
Yeah.
eating healthy. Ensure you are monitoring your blood sugar, and ensure you always review with your doctor so that when all of this is in place and you are managing it properly, the complications and if they exist is lesser.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that difficult or that terrible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Esther. I think you've said so much. You've said so much, and you've wherever there were still some gaps, which was very minimal, you added your own on top. But even if there were any gaps that needed to be filled in Dr. David's own discussion, you had covered it very well. So we really want to appreciate that. That's very, very true. I can relate to everything you have said. Diabetes is not a death sentence. I also have people close to me that have it and have had it for years, and they are still looking beautiful. They are still looking nice. So as far as you do what you need to do, you'll be fine. You know. I would love for us to actually go more on this topic, but because I noticed that sometimes when we go on for a long time, when we come to put up the show on Instagram, it's because it's so long. There are problems. So I think with what our practitioners have said, it's a lot to go back and think about, a lot to go back and try to apply, a lot to go back and try to see how you can incorporate it, either to prevent diabetes or to manage the diabetes. We've heard of 3 different types of diabetes, and we've heard the different ways we can manage them all. So I hope that we can take this back home and really work on it. For as usual, both of our practitioners can be accessed on Instagram and also on LinkedIn. For Dr. David, is Dave Ace. I think Dr. Can you help us type it out there, Dr. David, so they know how to access you on Instagram? Sorry, we have new viewers today, so you can reach out to him on Dave, I think _Ace. And then for Dietitian Grace is the Loud Dietitian. She's available both on LinkedIn and Instagram. So Dr. David has put his own there. And Grace will also help us with hers as well. So any questions you have, please reach out to them. They are available. If also you want to pass it through Janiba, our own Instagram handle, fine. But please, whatever you hear here, we're here to help you and to be better versions of yourself. So I hope that in as much as that Shengis has put her own out there as well. So we're here for you. This is at no charge to you whatsoever. It's our way of giving back. And we hope that you take advantage of it and enjoy it. Because I know people that will pay lots and lots to get this information. And just so whatever we discuss here, I personally go back and do it, and I've seen results, in my own life. Not simply because it's Janiba's show, but simply because I believe in being realistic and being honest with whoever I'm dealing with. And then once again, celebrate with us. This is I think this show it makes us 1 year. Hippie, we've been showing on the Janiba show for 1 year now. So I really appreciate the viewers that made this possible. Thank you, Dietitian Grace. Thank you, Dr. David. You've all contributed. And I hope that, we have many more years ahead of helping people and encouraging them to live a healthier and better life. So if we don't have any questions from our viewers, I think this is going to be goodbye.